Alright, hi guys, my name is Tyler Cano. I'm going to be presenting to you on the self-contained breathing apparatus today. So one of the frequently used items that firefighters use in dangerous situations like car fires, house fires, anything that's bad for your respiratory system, this is basically the piece of equipment that we use to protect ourselves in those situations. So we'll just be talking a little bit about safety mechanisms and things that will help you identify when you need to do corrective actions. So we're going to start off with a short video, and I just want to kind of get you guys thinking about, aside from the actual firefighting and putting out, a fire, other things that can be done to protect you in these types of situations. So. Alright, so the sound was off in the beginning, but does anyone know what happened in the video? Can we kind of talk about it? What do you think went wrong in that video? So, talked about how they were changing his bottle outside, goes into the structure, and his pass device is going off in the end. Does anyone have any clue?
He ran out of air.
Okay, so a lot of people think, he ran out of air, or something happened where he got stuck. But probably what didn't happen before he went is he didn't check his pack. So before you go into those types of situations, you need to make sure that your equipment is in working order, so you don't get into that type of situation. So now we're going to talk about the air pack. So what I'm going to go through is just how we're supposed to do morning checks on these pieces of equipment so we don't get in that type of situation. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and inspect our face piece. So we need to check everywhere around where the seal needs to make where the part that needs to make a seal around your face. So the rubber, make sure it's not too worn in or used, cracked, blistered. You're going to check your bands and everything, make sure there's still some elasticity to these. If you had the voice projection unit, you want to make sure that there's a battery in there so it actually works, and that there's just not too many scratches on the front, because although you might not be able to see, if there's if you're in a fire or something, you still need to have somewhat of an unobstructed sight. Then you're going to go ahead and check your bottle. So we're going to go over to the cylinder. We're going to check the cylinder just to make sure that there's no obvious tears in the Kevlar, and just to ensure that there's nothing that would damage or that could potentially be degrading to the construction of the bottle. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and turn it on. Make sure that this is closed here. So when we turn it on, we should be looking at these lights in the back. They should at first flash white, and then they should flash green, to show you that there's air pressure in the system. I'm going to go ahead and open the bottle all the way up. This should always be open all the way. It should never be open some, 3/4. It should be all the way open. So then we'll go ahead and check our regulator. The regulator, you're basically just checking for overall any damage, any strain to this wire. So when these are stored, a lot of times people put them in. A lot of times people are going to put these in, and they're going to be, like this, or something like that, where it's putting stress on this wire. That's why these things rip all the time up here, is because there's excess stress on that wire when it doesn't need to be. So yeah, we'll inspect the regulator. We're just going to check for operation of this bypass valve here. So that works. You're going to check that this air pressure switch is engage, and then you're gonna check your HUD display here. So the HUD display, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, so then we'll go ahead and hook up to regulator here. So, just gonna put this over here. So when we breathe, we're gonna take a couple breaths off of this bottle, just to check for a seal, and that we're gonna get that seal around there. So that's how you check the operation of this here, is by pulling away after you take a couple breaths, because it's supposed to have that that positive pressure, for everything. So then now you're just gonna check for overall any air leaks. So if you can hear anything, check around here for any of the same stuff like I was talking about, this wire, the fraying of the cables, the back plate itself, and then we'll go ahead and do the pass device check. So one common thing I see that people don't do is that they don't do the proper checks of the actual pass device. You're supposed to let it go into its first alarm, which we'll do now, which is after 20 seconds. After the first 20 seconds, you're supposed to shake the device to check for operation of that ball bearing in here in the pack, and then you let it reset, and then you do the test again to full alarm. So that's checking for that, and then now we'll let it go into its full alarm. Does anyone have any questions? No?
So why do you think the firefighter ran into a low air situation?
So after watching the video, I think it's probably because he didn't check his equipment prior to going in. So the way you stop the pass device is by pressing this manual stoppage button 2 times slowly. And then, so after that second check, the next check you'll do is, you press the manual activation switch, which we do. Cool. So that's checked. Now we can go ahead and disconnect our regulator, and then we'll check our HUD display. So actually, let's check the bottle first. So we'll go ahead and shut our bottle all the way, but the HUD display will still indicate that we have pressure in the bottle, and that's just because that's a indication of how much pressure is in the system currently. So once we start bleeding the air, we should see those lights go down, which is this is the part that the firefighter sees when they're running low on air. So we'll go ahead and purge the air slowly. So you can see that we're going down here. We're a quarter and we're empty. Cool, so that works. Now we can shut off the electronics part of this. And that is the end of our pack check. So, does anyone have any questions? Learn anything? Or?
What was that vibrating noise at the end there?
So, the vibrating noise that you heard, it's a little bit in depth, but basically it's a piston firing in this is called right here, is called the 2-stage pressure reducer. Basically there's a pin in there that when you get underneath a certain pressure, the pin the spring allows air to travel through, and that's that vibrating noise. Is basically you hear a piston firing against it's pretty complicated, but yeah, it's basically a piston firing from the air pressure.
So it's like a low arm,
yeah.
arm.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? All right, cool. Thanks, guys.